Good morning, everyone. Welcome to LSND Live Community Conversations. And today I have the pleasure of speaking with Marsha Dupré from NDAD, which, Marsha, tell me what NDAD is and what do you do there as a client services representative?
Sure. NDAD is North Dakota Association for Disabilities. And I'm the client representative out of the Minot office. We have branches in Fargo, Grand Forks, Minot, Bismarck, Dickinson, and Williston. And I work out of the Minot office.
Very good. Well, thank you for being here today. We're so happy to hear what you have to share with our communities and what you do there. So, if you could just give me a little bit of what types of individuals or families reach out to you for support, like who's your typical person reaching out to you?
Well, we work with people, we're a nonprofit organization. We work with people with disabilities and medical health challenges. So they don't
Okay.
have to have a disability if they have a medical health challenge. So work with people from infants to seniors. It just depends on their financial medical need.
And you're a nonprofit. I think I saw on the website that you've been around for more than 50 years, which is awesome.
Yes, this is
You've
our
been doing
50th
this for,
anniversary.
are there any big events this year for that? Are you having any type of
Yes, we're
celebration?
having an open house out of house where we're going to be going out to people that we work with and talk to them and thank them for the referrals and just kind of reach out to see if they have any questions on what we do. So we're having an open house out of house.
That's actually really cool. I like the way you've set that up, especially since you're probably working with people who have problems traveling at times and hard to get to you. So going out into the community is probably a good idea,
Yeah.
which leads into the first, you had given me a list of different services and different things you talk about. One of them was was out of town medical travel options. What does that service look like with NDAD?
Well, to qualify for the out of town medical travel, they do need to complete an application and supply us with their
Okay.
financials from 2024, the previous year, just to make sure they're
Okay.
eligible. And we're very flexible. So we always say try because it's always worth it. Um, we will help with a lot of our clients are dialysis travel. They have to travel from out
Okay.
of town to a dialysis center. So we will help them with a gas card. We calculate the miles round trip to the location that they live at, to the dialysis center. We use the guidelines of the government at 21 cents a mile, and then we issue them a Cenex gas card so that they can get to their dialysis. Now,
Very
dialysis is
good.
just one example. Um, we have the Autism Spectrum Awareness Program. So if they have a child with autism, they need to come into town for speech therapy or occupational therapy. We also will help with medical travel to those appointments as well. If they need to
Oh,
travel out,
interesting.
yeah, if they need to travel out of town for medical care because it's not available in their local community, we can help them get to other places across the state of North Dakota or University of Minnesota, Rochester. We can help them get to those locations also with the gas card. If their insurance doesn't cover it, we can also potentially cover their lodging.
Oh, interesting. That's great service because I find we're so spread out. North Dakota is such a spread out state, and trying to find ways to get places is more difficult than people imagine sometimes, I think.
Yes,
Very
absolutely.
good. How about prescription assistance options? What that those costs can add up fast. What type of assistance do you all offer when it comes to medication?
Absolutely. Again, if they complete the application and are eligible, we will help them with their copays. And we can help them up to $700 a month. So we make arrangements with the pharmacy that they go to that we work with. Um, then we just fax the pharmacy an approval of what medications we're going to cover for this individual client, and they bill
Mhm.
us instead of the client when they pick them up.
Very cool. And that same application process where they submit their financials to make sure they're eligible and that kind of thing
Yeah,
for the prescriptions.
exactly.
What if someone doesn't have insurance? Are they usually trying to get Medicaid then to help them cover some of this? And if we're getting
Right.
too far in the weeds, let me know. But I was just thinking, if someone doesn't
Yeah.
have insurance, can you help with that? Yeah.
Yeah, normally insurance will help with
Okay.
that. There still are co-pays out there. If they're not
Right.
on insurance, we will ask them to get on insurance, but we will help them through the period of a month or 2 months or 3 months until they get that approved and they get on it. Then we can help them with their co-pays after that as well.
Okay. Very good. Yeah, I was just thinking about the type of people, a person who may come in and they may not have the insurance set up yet. It's insurance such a hard, complicated world sometimes that
It can be,
it's hard
yes.
to understand. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
um, so you had mentioned out of town, the gas cards and that kind of thing. Do you have in town options as well for people maybe traveling within Minot or within Grand Forks?
We do have what's called our paratransit service, but they have to be eligible for that. They have to
Okay.
show us that they're not able to take a city transportation. So if
Okay.
they have severe anxiety issues, autism issues, um, physical disabilities, any reasons that they cannot take a city bus or city transportation, we can help them with paratransit tokens for
Okay.
each month.
Okay. That's great because then you can, if they can't take the public transit, they can get onto your van or whatever vehicle that you have to help them.
Right.
Um, how do people schedule that with you if they need that service and they're eligible, they apply? How do they schedule that?
With paratransit, they go through the city's paratransit system. I make arrangements with
Okay.
them. In Minot we use tokens. So I have approximately 12 individuals that use paratransit. And at the first of every month,
Okay.
I go pick up their tokens and mail them to them. But every city's paratransit system is a bit different.
Okay. Which makes sense. Everyone's got their own challenges
Yes.
from their particular location of what they're dealing with for funding and services available and that kind of thing.
Right.
How about personal attendant care? You had mentioned that you had personal attendant care. What is that, and how does NDAD help with that?
Well, for instance, I have a client whose wife has a disability, and he still needs to work full time to support the family. So we help pay for the personal attendant care, daily living skills that she needs. Send somebody into the house, an organization that does that kind of service, and then we pay them for their hours of service for this individual. So it may be um, getting out of bed in the morning, taking a shower, eating lunch, getting dressed, your daily living skills that they need assistance with while he's gone at work. And then
Okay.
the organization that's providing those services bills us monthly and we agree to pay for that. That's also for respite care. If they have, for instance, an individual that has autism and they're taking care of this individual round the clock and they need some time for themselves, we can help with respite care as well, sending somebody in to take care of this individual and allowing them to get out of the house and do some things for themselves. So it can be autism, it can be a personal need of the other individual that they can't leave alone. And we can help with respite care
Okay.
as well as personal attendant care.
That's good to know. I think people don't often understand how difficult or stressful it is to always be like a 24/7 caregiver of someone. And so that's a very important service. Thank you.
Yeah.
What else? What other services do you? I had those four on my list, but I have a feeling there's a ton more out there that I don't know about. So what else do you
There
have,
are.
Marsha?
We have two handicap accessible vans in Minot. We have two in Grand Forks, two in Fargo, and they are out there for the general public to use as long as they have an individual that's confined to a wheelchair. They can
Okay.
they schedule with the office that's closest to them. They can loan out a van from us free of charge. They have to supply us with a driver's license and proof of vehicle insurance, and then they can use our van for up to um, 2 days, 3 nights. and
Okay.
they just have to bring it back with a full tank of gas.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so they use it for, it doesn't matter. It's to help the person maintain independence. So they use it for weddings, they use it for funerals, they use it to go out in the fall and check out the crops. They can use it for
Okay.
whatever they have a need for, and then they just return it in that period of time, and they don't have to pay for it. They just have to fill it up with gas.
Very cool. I like that because those vehicles aren't cheap, and to try to rent them or try to find one is not an easy task sometimes.
Right. So, and then also all of our 6 locations have an equipment loan program. So in that equipment loan program, we have a list of items that we loan out to individuals for 90 days free of charge. So if they, our most popular item is our knee walkers. They have broken ankle, foot surgery, something like that. They can't get around on crutches, or they don't want to just get around on crutches. They want more independence. In that situation, we
Mhm.
would loan out a knee walker for 90 days for free of charge to
Okay.
that individual. And usually after a surgery, 90 days is just an adequate amount of time. They might fall and break a hip. We have commodes. We have wheelchairs. We have toilet seat risers. We have the Cadillac rollators, the Cadillac walkers, and we do have crutches too. Electric wheelchairs, electric scooters. There's just a variety of items that we have in each of our 6 locations where people can loan out that equipment free of charge.
That's really cool. I had looked up something and you had bed rails were also
Yes.
listed on there. And I thought
Yep.
that was, uh, I saw it listed somewhere else too because someone was asking on Facebook. You know how Facebook, you get all these random questions sometimes that you
Yeah.
see things, people asking for things. And I know
Yeah.
you all get mentioned on there um, for your programs.
Yeah. We try to watch
Cool.
that.
What else? Yeah.
Well,
What else do you
we
have that?
do administer the North Dakota Organ Transplant Fund. We are a nonprofit organization, so we're not funded by the state. But the state has a
Mhm.
program called the North Dakota Organ Transplant Fund. If you
Okay.
file your taxes for the state of North Dakota and they're under $5, they keep that money, and that money goes into the organ transplant grant fund. Instead
Oh,
of them,
interesting.
yeah, instead of them setting up an organization to run those funds, we run them for the state. So when there's a transplant taking place, they also come through us for the transplant funds to support their travel, their lodging, their needs that they have regarding wrapped around that transplant, their follow-up appointments, all of that. So we administer the North Dakota Organ Transplant Fund for the state of North Dakota.
Okay, so anyone getting a transplant would then come through you for the administration of the funding that they're
Yeah, they would
using to
still fill
support
out the
that.
same
Okay.
application, go through the same process that they do as a client of our other services. The guidelines are the same, and then we
Okay.
help them, and it's usually very involved because there's lots of lodging and needs and travel and follow-up appointments for these individuals. So it's a
Yeah.
big service to them. I think the
Yeah, I
other
can
thing,
imagine. That seems like a big
yeah,
deal.
would
Hmm.
be again the autism spectrum assistance program. If they need help with their medical travel to get to the speech therapy, occupational therapy, we'll help them with that. If they need respite
Mhm.
care because they are taking care of an individual with autism, we will supply them with the respite care that they need. So there's a variety of things. If insurance doesn't cover some things, we can take a look at it to see if it's something that fits within our guidelines.
Okay. Okay. Very cool. When you talk about applying, how do people apply? Is it an application they have to send in? Can they call? Can they apply online? How does that work?
They can apply online, ndad.org, financial assistance. That leads them with a full sheet of explanations on what they need to do to complete the application, what forms they need to provide us. We need their insurance cards. We need their income from the year, previous year. We need a full application, which is just the front and back of one page. So we need to know
Okay.
what their income is, and and if they're eligible, what kind of insurance they have, those kinds of things. We do need a author release of information form signed so that we can contact their physician. For instance, if they fill out an application and they want prescription assistance, we then
Mhm.
contact their doctor and get a list of their diagnoses and a list of medications that match each diagnosis so that we can confirm they are being prescribed these medications. And in that situation,
Okay.
then we can go through the process of completing that application and confirming with the physician what their needs are and moving forward from there. So it's not an intense application. It's just the 2 pages plus the release of information.
Okay, that's good. And then I always get questions. So at legal services, we often get, we don't want to apply because we know we're not financially eligible. My response is the same as you. You should just apply to see. But what are the eligibility? What's that based on? What's the income? Like
Well,
what do you
it
base
really is
eligibility on?
flexible based on what they have in
Okay.
assets, what their income is, their family size. But if they complete the application and we do what's called a client contribution worksheet, on that worksheet, we'll fill in all the data that they supplied us on their application and on their taxes. If they don't file
Mhm.
taxes, we'll take a look at their 2024 in this situation, Social Security, 1099 form telling us what they made on Social Security the previous year. So it doesn't necessarily have to be
Okay.
taxes, it can be their Social Security form. So we work with them after we fill out that client contribution worksheet. Their income might be a bit high, so they might have a client contribution, kind of like a recipient
Okay.
liability. And let's say they have
Yeah.
a client, they might have a client contribution of $1,050. That might be one of the numbers. All they have to do is supply us with receipts from the previous 12 months of what they've spent in healthcare expenses that meet that $1,050. For instance,
Okay.
eyeglasses, dental assistance, medical travel, doctor's appointments, prescriptions they paid out of pocket. All of that can go towards that recipient lab or that client contribution necessary to fulfill before we can assist them. So that's why we want them to make sure that they complete that application, because even if they have a client contribution, if they've had these needs for a while, they're going to fulfill that contribution.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that's a great explanation. Thank you. Because I feel like there's just so many people out there who don't know about the services and they don't apply because they just think, oh, I'm not gonna,
Right,
no one's gonna help me type thing.
right. No,
Um,
they really
and
need
so
to apply.
yeah, getting that out there is a good thing. Anything else that I we didn't talk about or that you want to bring up about NDAD, any upcoming
Well,
events,
I
anything
think,
that you have going on?
yeah, one of the biggest things is the information and referral. We work with
Okay.
agencies across the state and we're really do a lot of referrals and supply a lot of information to people. So they're certainly welcome to call if they have questions as well. And we can refer them out if it's not something that we can assist them with.
Okay. That's good to know. I think that's a hard part of people tracking down services sometimes is getting to the right place and having those referrals is really important. So
It's always
very
a
good.
challenge not knowing where to reach out.
Right. And then not always having the best things change a lot and making sure that we all keep up on what's going on in our communities and that kind of thing is a challenge. It's hard to do sometimes.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
mhm.
So we've got again the
Well,
six.
thank you for I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, just the 6 offices across the
No, go ahead.
state. So we cover the entire state of North Dakota and we're here to help you.
And I really appreciate your time and sharing this with our legal services audience and our other community partners because again, it's just so much of it is knowing even what's out there is so overwhelming that our community partners are very helpful in tracking some of these things down. So
Perfect.
um, well thank you, Marsha. I will put all of this information into the description of the live stream that's gone out. And so they'll have the website and where to go to apply. And then people can reach out to you if they have questions.
Absolutely.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.